the Constitution. Right? So I want you to remember here's these two standards. You have the law of the universe and the law of the land. And those are the things which give validity to law. Now, what do we call that, which looks like law and smells like law, but it's not, we know it's not? Well, in law school, I'm sorry, go ahead. A duck. I know what a duck. You can call it Ralph. Well, in law school, we sometimes use the term color of law. Somebody acted under color of law, which is a term we use to indicate that actual authority didn't exist, but pretended authority did. Chief Justice Roy Moore took to calling this kind of legislation unlawful, which is a pretty good term, unlawful. And I used that term for a number of years, and I think I probably used it in the videos that you saw. Lately, I've been calling it what the Declaration calls it, because it's historic, and our founders used the term pretended legislation. They call it pretended legislation, which I think is a pretty good term, pretty accurate and historic. So we have a lot of pretended legislation nowadays, don't we? But most people don't see that. Most people think that if, and you hear all the time, Barack Obama signed something into law, or he promulgated an executive order, and that's the law. Well, of course it's not law. Of course it's not. But unless we are able to understand why, and articulate that understanding clearly to our compatriots, then it's not much good knowing. We need to understand these things and be able to articulate. And that I believe is why taking the course is helpful, and also then going back and retaking it, because when you share the course with others, you'll in effect be retaking it yourself. So knowing what law is and what law isn't is vastly important. I'm going to say something to those of you who took the course. You've heard this before, but I'd like to just, the third point that I'd like to make has to do with, going back to the American view of law and government. There is a God, the rights come from Him. The purpose of civil government is to protect and secure God-given rights. Just in a nutshell, that's the American philosophy of government. So let me make this point with respect to that first. There is a God, our rights come from Him. Okay? As soon as you say that, somebody will say, well, don't you know there's a separation of church and state? Don't you get that all the time? Don't you get separation? Let's say that you want to start a meeting with prayer and somebody says there's a separation of church and state. Probably our first answer to somebody like that should be, I didn't say anything about the church. I was talking about prayer.
Amen.
Yeah. I wasn't talking about the church. See, what they mean, what they want separation of church and state to mean is separation of God from God. And of course, if you know the American view is contained in the Declaration, you can't separate God from God.
That's right.
The very first presupposition is there is a God, a creator God. So if you can't make that separation, that's part of the philosophy of government. So when you're challenged, sometimes I would just to put in your pocket, if you're challenged by somebody saying, well, there's a separation of church and state, well, one of the things that you could say is, well, I wasn't talking about church. I was talking about the acknowledgement of God, which, of course, is the philosophy of American government. It's the expression of the philosophy of government. I'll never forget. You remember Judge Darrell White? You remember Darrell White? I think he was from Mississippi. He was a retired judge when I met him. I was in a conference. I remember we were having this conversation, and he was sitting in a row in front of me, and he turned around and he said, Michael, the acknowledgement of God is not a violation of the Establishment Clause. The acknowledgement of God is not a violation of the Establishment Clause on the First Amendment. It's an expression of a philosophy of government. The American philosophy of government. You know what? I wrote that down. You should write it down. The acknowledgement of God is not a violation of the Establishment Clause. Rather, it is an expression of the American philosophy of government. If you take